はいどうも皆さんお疲れ様です。おじさんです。とりあえず中を見てみましょう。そういうのはいかがでしょうか。なんかこんな石があるようです。これはこれとかふむふむ、まずはねふむふむしてます。皆さんはふむふむ。ちょっとお土産物屋さんコーナーを先にチェックしましょう。あとなんかこういう入り口から入っていきましょうか。取り直し。ちょっと最初からね、ここが入り口ね。でこんな感じね。
Well, you're going to need to turn on it. See, she was already there. That's why I knew she was there. Because she had turned the lights on when she came in. So I didn't have to turn the lights on. When you're coming back from the movie, there's a cell right there as you're getting ready to cross the bridge. There's a cell.
Before the bridge, there's a cell.
Are you talking about going in or coming out?
Going in. If you're going in, no, here's crazy. No. If I was
It gets scary, especially when you're going in every 15 or 20 minutes, because then you're worried. That's what I always hear when I turn around.
well, I passed us and told us, go back to take lunch, and I thought, well, he's back there watching the movie. I don't want to pull.
What to do is wait till they're done.
皆さんなんかこんな風になってるみたいです。すごい、見てなんかまずそこでね、ここが出発してでなんか下がっていくんでしょうね。ほうブレイクダウンルーム、オーディトリアムルーム、ウォーターウェル、でこう下がってってこういうとこね。こんな穴があるんだ。なるほど、こんな風になってるみたいです。皆さん見えた？これね、ファンタスティック。すごい。多分この洞窟の中で採れたあれで作ったチェスですね。チェスのそのチェス板とそれ系、なんかかわいい、ほらかわいいのが出てる。お土産物がかわいいです。ね。ほらかわいいでしょ。
You know what, we need a new, we need a candle.
My friends here, I know that we stopped to visit her on the way to Louisville. And she's telling me about this.
Well, that's really cool. That's right.
Hello, hey.
Was it yesterday or the day before that? No, when yesterday.
Probably be here forever.
What, 30 or 40?
Oh, no. And then when?
Rita used to, Rita had a calendar in her locker, because we used to share lockers. She had a calendar in her locker. And she would write down the number of tours that she would take that day. And then she knew when she reached her 1,000th tour.
Richard does that.
No, he doesn't. Because it's not accurate, he forgot. He only does that because he got butt hurt.
I'm down there. If you want to take it and just throw, you know, pull it. I usually put one, when it gets really low, I put one in my pocket.
Those are allowed for dads. You know, dad joke. My son said, I'm doing.
I don't know why you're complaining, you don't have to go in there.
Well, I have to go in there and clean once in a while. I don't want my hands freezing while I'm cleaning the toilet.
Boo, boo.
Oh,
I'd rather give my friends or family tours before.
Not me, because they make me nervous if they're on my train.
Well, I mean, as long as they're allowed to do another one, if you do that for, and that's all, you go back to, which is actually.
I do what I'm gonna do. Stop watching telly, there was so many.
She literally just watched that fire.
I knew she said, I gotta go. It is a steam-powered generator. It put electricity in our cave way back in 1887. Kind of important because we were the only ones who had electricity back at that time. So that is kind of an important thing. We're going to go down the hill, pay attention to it on your left-hand side. We're going to go in the cave where it's 60 degrees. It's going to be nice and warm.
Good. Turn on the heat. Remember, son, don't touch it. You don't sit your jacket up, bud? God, it's hot.
Over here to your left, that's a steam-powered generator.
Get ready, son. Get ready.
Oh, just in case.
Oh, 60 degrees. Look at that, son. The stalactites. The stalagmites. Ooh, look at the formation, son. Look at the walls.
Watch your head, Dad.
Watch this. Look at it dripping, son. The water.
Another spot right here. Watch your heads as you go under right there. Low spot. We're going to stop here just a minute. I want to let you know that these are propane-powered Jeeps, so we're not leaving any gas fumes in the cave. We turn lights on and off as we go. We don't leave any lights on unless it's necessary for us to be able to see or to drive. Now, every cave has 3 zones to it. We just left the light zone. That's the only area of the cave that has a natural light that comes in. Back here is called the dark zone. think you can figure that one out. And where the light zone and the dark zone meet, technically this is called the twilight zone right here. No, nothing's going to happen here, funny. Now, I was stopped here also because I want to show you this. This is a garden bed that was put in this cave way back in 1930. The man who owned the cave at the time, he was doing some cave tours, but we're talking about 1930, and that's when the Great Depression hit. Most people couldn't afford to do cave tours back then. Banks were shut down. People were broke. So he came down here and he planted 8 beds in here. This is the only one that we left so you could kind of see what it looked like. He was growing something in here that starts with an M. Anybody know what that might be?
Money.
Money, no, not money. Anybody else know what it is? No, not marijuana. Do you know, actually, yes. Marijuana is a plant, and it requires a great deal of sunlight. Do you know how much sunlight it would get in here? Zilch. These were button-top mushrooms. Mushrooms are actually a fungus and not a plant, so they grow best in the dark, and when the lights are off in here, it's pitch black in here. And so they grew in here very well. They actually supplemented his income so that he could help take his family through the Great Depression by planting these mushrooms in here. We're going to go up here at the next stop. We're going to show you 3 different formations before we go deeper into the cave. Turn the lights on as we go.
Is he talking about mushroom drugs? Mushrooms?
No. Yeah, no. Well, mushrooms. I don't know. Do mushrooms make drugs?
Well, I mean, what did he get money from them for?
Oh, they were just mushrooms to be eaten on salads and stuff like that.
Oh, so it was edible. Okay.
Yeah, they were edible.
All right.
We are in the dark.
Formations that's in this area here, I'm going to start over here on the side. The formations you see over here, this is called flowstone. This is water that seeps in through the cave wall and the cave ceiling. Just kind of runs down the wall there, kind of like lava. Well, this has got that really red rusty color because anytime water comes into the cave, as the water goes through the rock and then through the dirt and then through the rock, it picks up minerals as it does. And in this case, it's picking up the mineral of iron, giving it that really red, rusty color there. Up here on the ceiling, you're going to see lots and lots of stalactites in here. Anything that hangs from the ceiling in a cave is called the stalactite. You can remember that because it holds tight to the ceiling. These 2 here are called cave curtains or cave drapery. Those are very thin formations because the ceiling that they're on is at an angle. So when the water comes in, the water will follow the same incline of the ceiling, making those really thin formations there. You can almost see light through them. This one here is dripping on the one below, drips all the time, and that's what has caused this one down below to grow. This is called the stalagmite. A stalagmite, you can remember because someday if it continues to grow, someday it might reach this one up here. And they will become a column or a billet. They will be all of one piece. Now, we really don't know exactly how old this formation is, but there's a formation at the next stop that we actually know exactly how old it is. And we know that because there was a mistake made in the cave. That mistake caused a formation to start to grow. Well, we know the date that mistake was made, so we know exactly how old that formation is up there. And we are going to look at that one and we can guesstimate on how quickly everything else in this cave is growing. So we can tell you that this one right here that you're looking at is growing 1 cubic inch every 100 years. If you came back in 100 years and looked at this one same formation, the only difference it would be is it would look like it's had a new fresh coat of paint. And that's as far as it's going to get in 100 years. So we're going to go up here and I'm going to show you that one that we actually know exactly how old it is. And I'll bet you're going to be able to spot that mistake that was made in the cave before I get this Jeep stopped. Now let me tell you where you guys are right now. We are 90 foot underground. We are actually under the hill that's across the street from the tavern. When you leave today, you're going to see that there's a wooden fence over there. We are deep underneath that wooden fence under the hill. Now the man who owned that piece of property over there, he was building a house, and with this house he wanted to put a well in. And he knew there was a cave below his property, so he came down here with the cave owner. They did some hillbilly measurements here. They went up top and they did some more hillbilly measurements. Well, as you can see, those measurements weren't all that good because there you see it. This pipe was supposed to have been 10 foot on the other side of that wall right there. So they missed it just a little bit there. When their drill bit came down 90 foot and then dropped, they knew they had made a big mistake. So they got with the cave owner again, and they came down here, and he could see that the hole was kind of up against the wall, really wasn't going to hurt anything. So he actually had them go ahead and drill down another 50 foot where they hit water in the lower level of this cave. Now, he decided to do that, one, because, you know, if they didn't do it, and they tried to do drilling again, if they missed the second time, they would have matching holes in the cave. So it was better for them just to go ahead and do this and put the pipe in. Now, when this pipe was put in, it was put in 1941. So it's been in this cave now for 81 years. Over the last 81 years, water has seeped in around the top up there and kind of run down the pipe. Now, when that water came in, a mineral called calcite also come in with that water and has completely covered that pipe over the last 81 years with this calcite. Now, as long as this pipe stays in here, this calcite will continue to grow till someday this pipe is going to look like it belongs in here because it's going to look like everything else in this cave. The other thing is those little formations you see up there. Those little formations there and kind of running down the wall, those little formations are the beginning of a cave curtain like the one we just seen at the last stop. These little baby cave curtains are only 3/4 of an inch in diameter. They are also 81 years old because they started when that pipe was put in, the water started seeping in around there and kind of running down the wall. Now, if that is where we're getting the 1 cubic inch per 100 years of everything else growing in here is because we know that those are 81 years old and they're 3/4 of an inch. Now, if it took them that long to make, look up here in front of you. This up here is a full-grown cave curtain right there. And at 1 inch per 100 years, how old do you suppose that cave curtain is right there? Anybody got any guesses? How old?
100.
How much? 1,000? That's a good guess.
100.
100? Anybody else? 10,000. Well, now you're getting up there. There you go.
Well, 300.
You know, everybody's guess is good. You're all probably all wrong, but it's good because we don't really know exactly how old that is. But you know, we know it's very old. We really don't know because there's too many variables in it. How much rain was actually running in this area at the time that was formed? How much water was dripping through to the cave? So we don't really know exactly how old it is. Our handbook just says that formation there is very, very old. So if you just said that, you've been right. Now, this cave here is called a solution cave. A solution cave is a cave that is made completely by water running through here. This is a riverbed right here that we're running on. When water was going through here for a very long time. This is also called a limestone cave. Limestone is a rock that's very porous and can be dissolved in water. And as the water flowed through here, the limestone eventually dissolved in that rock. and when the water went out, the rock went with it. And that's what cut out the cave in here. This cave was not mined by man. This is all totally done by water. All we did was smooth out the floor and put gravel here so that we could drive through here and not be stuck. Now, we're going to go up here at the next stop, and I'm going to show you what it's like to be in this cave in its natural state. Do you know what the natural state of the cave is? Dark? Very dark. We're going to go up here and experience the dark. Now, if anybody in here is afraid of the dark, you are welcome to grab somebody you know and hold on to them while the lights are off. But the only thing I ask is that you grab somebody you know and turn a stranger. Now, one question I always have people ask me when we do a tour is, can these stalactites fall? I'll bet you guys hope that answer is no, don't you?
Exactly.
No, they cannot fall. They have never fallen off of the ceiling. And you kind of have to think of them like an upside-down tree. They're actually rooted into the ceiling. They cannot fall on their own. I have to ask you not to get out, okay? Because this floor is really, really muddy and slippery. You know, I don't want to lose anybody before we get out of here. Now, I'm going to show you what it's like in here in its natural state. If I can get you guys to turn your cameras off for just a minute, we are going to experience what this is like to be in this cave with absolutely no light, because there's no natural light in here at all. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Now, if anybody in here thinks that you can get out and walk out of here, raise your hand. I want to see who you are. Actually, I can't even see my own hand. But you know what? They did cave tours in here for 20 years. From 1867 to 1887, everybody who walked through here was given a candle to walk through a scary cave like this. I mean, I don't know what they thought they could have seen. Unless there was a lot of people, they all had a candle. Maybe it would have been more light than this. But you have to remember, you know, when they're walking through a drippy cave with a candle, if a drip lands on their candle, they are in a how do I get out of here kind of tour. Now, in 1887, when they put that generator in, I was telling you about outside, they put that generator in because Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Now you can see where you're walking because they actually put lights all the way through this cave here so people could actually see where they're walking here. But unfortunately, this light does not do justice to this cave because you can see that everything around you is just kind of like a peanut butter color, not very pretty. But believe it or not, this cave became extremely popular in 1887. People came from hundreds of miles around and waited in line for their turn to come in here. But they didn't come here to see the cave. They came here to see the light bulbs. They had never seen light bulbs before. They'd never seen electricity before. So this was a big deal. They wanted to see what a light bulb looked like. But then we had a man come in about 1972. He was an expert with a lighting company for a theater. And he said, you know what, you should really take the lights off of the ceiling and put them on the floor. Light came from the bottom up instead of the top down. And we did, and if you look at that wall over there, that's the lights on the ceiling, lights on the floor. Of course, this is much nicer. This is much better. You knew what he was talking about. Now you can not only see the formations, but you can actually see the true colors of the formations, depending on what mineral it is that came in with the water, as the water kind of dripped into there. Now we're going to go up over a couple of bridges up here. The first bridge is actually 25 feet deep. The second bridge is about 30 foot deep. The original people with their candles, they wouldn't have gone any farther than this right here because they could not have gotten across these bridges, these big holes that are up here. We're going to go and we're going to stop on the second bridge. So if you want to stand up and look over, you're welcome to do that once I get the Jeep stopped. We're going to talk about water in the cave up here. was pretty important to them. And there was a shortage of gunpowder at the time. So finding a cave would be something really special for them. Now, John Knox did not want them to find this cave because had they found the cave, they would have confiscated the cave. They would have taken it away from him. Giving him nothing for it, they would just take the cave. But not only would they have taken the cave, they would have taken everything that's on top of this cave. So if his home was up there, they would have also confiscated his home, using his home kind of like a field hospital. And then if he had any kind of animals, cows, chickens, pigs, no matter what it was, because of the war, they had the authority to kill those animals and feed all of their soldiers. So by John Knox keeping the cave secret, he probably saved his cave, he saved his animals, and he saved his home. But even more importantly than that, had they found this cave and tried to take pretty much everything he owned, if he had resisted them in any way, tried to stop them, there's a very good likelihood that they would have just shot him and taken everything anyway. Because that saltpeter was that important to them, they would not have taken no for an answer from him. So when he waited till let those girls come in, they came in 1867, which the war actually ended in 65. So he gave it 2 more years to make certain that the fighting was over. Because he literally had everything to lose and nothing to gain by anybody knowing that there was a cave here at that time. Now this cave right here, this area, this is called the auditorium. And they called it that because there's been so much history in this cave. I can't begin to tell you all of it, but I'm going to tell you a little piece of it. You can see the lighting up here, still up here in the ceiling, because about 1959 this stage was put in, and there was a music show in here. It was a variety show called Farmerama. They had some big names in here, well, big names at the time. Ray Price was in here, Buck Owens and the Buckaroos, Bobby Bear, and they had a lot of people come in here and play music on the stage, and it was broadcast on KGBX radio. And that went on for quite some time before they stopped doing that. Now, we're going to go out, the exit that we're going out, I'm going to tell you about that one, because that one was opened up in 1920. The only hole to get in this cave at the time was the little hole that the dog got into, but this one, we're going out, that one was opened up in 1920 because this room right here was made into an illegal nightclub called a speakeasy. That was in the 1920s. And they opened that up so that they could bring in large barrels of moonshine, some gambling tables, and a dance floor in here. And all that stuff would not fit through that little bitty hole that the dog came in. So they opened that up so that they could bring in by horse and buggy, bring those things back into here. That only went on for a short time because it was illegal and something happened that somebody had to call the sheriff. And when the sheriff found out it was here, of course, he closed it down. You can't have dancing, you can't have drinking, and you can't have gambling at the time. Now, as we go out, there's a couple of spots that's going to be really low to your head. I'm going to shine my light on them, and I'm going to warn you about them just before we go under, so that you have a notice that you need to lower your head just a little bit.
Okay, lower your head, Dad. Lower your head.
This is the first spot right here. Watch your heads as we go under. Really low spot here. Another low spot right here all the way across. Watch your heads. This rock here has been named a few times, so just watch your head. All the way across here.
looks like a Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, a little bit. All of this rock that you see here, all of this rock used to be on the ceiling. Where we had our pictures made, we are actually in the same area that we had our pictures made. But when all this rock fell, it separated the two areas. This rock is called the breakdown. When that water was flowing through here for so long, that water many times would rise and fall and rise and fall, saturated all this rock that's on the ceiling. And then when that water went out, that rock was so heavy with water, couldn't hold its own weight and gave way. This actually fell in here 3 separate times. First time it fell was on your shelf you see right here. Then sometime later it fell on this shelf here. Last time this ceiling gave away was up here where you see that boot print. Now remember those formations 1 inch every 100 years. So you can tell by the size of those formations that it's been a seriously long time since this ceiling gave away for the last time. And now they say every time it collapsed, the ceiling became smaller and smaller, till now the ceiling is actually in a dome shape, and so all the walls in here are evenly supporting the dome shape to it. So this is really a very, very secure area. Now a lot of people will look at this and say this was probably done by an earthquake, but no, it wasn't. And we did have an earthquake in 1811, which we sit close to the New Madrid fault line that runs from Memphis to St. Louis. And so we had scientists come down here. They went through the whole cave. They told us that nothing in here was affected by an earthquake. The earthquake that happened in 1811 was the largest one recorded. Actually made the bells ring in Boston. That's how bad it was. But nothing in here was affected by that earthquake. And the scientists say that really the only thing that is affected by an earthquake is what is on the surface and not in the subsurface. So would there be another earthquake, you would be perfectly safe in this spot right here. Anyway, that's what they say. I'm not going to test it. As we go underneath this next section here, you might want to look up because there is the largest area of stalactites that are all clustered right there together. Makes the ceiling just look beautiful.
Do we have to walk in?
Now, if I can get everybody to hold off on your flash on your cameras for just a minute here, I'm going to talk to you about the lantern that the girls used when they came in. Now, when they first came in, you know, they had what they call a lantern. I'm going to show you what that is. This is nothing more than a coffee can. It's got a candle in the middle of it because they put a hole in the bottom of that can. And this is the kind of light that they would have had for it to come in, and it's kind of impressive though if you think about it. A candle gives you a little bit of light, but when they put that hole in the bottom of that can and put that candle in there, that really puts out quite a bit of light. And if there was 12 girls, you know, if they had 12 lanterns, that would have been a lot of light. And you know, if you think about it, this is probably one of the very first incandescent lights. Incandescent, got it? I know, that one's bad, that one's got to go. I'm going to go around the corner here. I'm going to actually show you the path that the girls took when they came in here, what they could have seen with nothing more than these lanterns.
Just leaving us here?
Now we know that the dog came in way up here in the right-hand corner, and that's where the girls would have also come in. So the path that they would have taken to come into this cave would have been the path that I'm taking right here. This is the kind of light that they would have been able to see these formations with. And they probably, you know, they probably would have been impressed seeing this. No more light than what they had. This would have been something to see. If they could have seen it in the way you guys can see it today, though, how, you know, in awe would they have been. Now, before I turn the lights on, I want to show you something. Because this one formation here has cave crystal in it. You can see it when I turn the lights on, but not as good as you can with my flashlight. Isn't that pretty? This one here has no cave crystal, and the one right next to it has all of it. So there's two different kinds of minerals coming into the cave right here. There you go. These are called the twins. They are 20 foot tall. They are the tallest formations in this cave. And if you look up in front of us here, these other formations in here, these are huge around ones. These are really big ones like this around. Not so much tall, but around. And we are only probably 20 foot underground right here. And so everything in this cave right in this spot is easy for it to be growing. And you can see the little shinies at the end of all those stalactites. Everything in here is still actively growing. All of them. So you're probably going to get dripped on. If you get dripped on, that's a little piece of the cave. You're going home with you. There's no charge for it. It's free. Now, for us to get out of this cave here, I've got to bring my Jeep up around this corner here, and I'm going to straighten out the Jeep so that I can come straight out and not scratch anything. That means I'm going to hug this wall over here on the left-hand side. And by hugging that wall, I'm going to be literally inches off the top of my Jeep. So that means that everybody that is on the driver's side here, if you don't know the person across from you, now would be a good time to introduce yourself. Your head's going to be in their lap here in just a minute. I will go real slow. So if you do bump your head, at least you're going to do it slowly. Here we go. Watch your heads. We're going under. Watch your heads there. Oh my God. That's pretty level 3. Another little spot right here that kind of sticks out. Watch your head on that one. When I pull out of the cave, I'm going to stop one more time. I'm going to show you the hole that the dog crawled in to, and the girls 5 years later. And anybody who wanted to do tours in here for 20 years had to go in through that same little hole. But on the way out, I have to warn you that the driver's side, the ceiling, is pretty low. And there's some what do you call them?
Icicles.
Icicles up here. Watch your head as we go under, because I don't know if that's some of them's going to affect you or not. Yeah, some of them might. Yeah. All the joys of winter.
I think I see the hole they went through.
Okay, let me come around there and shine my light. You can see the hole. The hole is actually 3.5 foot wide, 1.5 foot tall. I just barely got you guys up from underneath that, didn't I? All right here, there's the hole. 3.5 foot wide, 1.5 foot tall. That's where the dog went in. And the girls went in 5 years later. And anybody who wanted to do tours in here, they had to go in through that same little hole, because this one did not open up until 1920. So that one was until 1920. Girls got in there real easily, though, because they didn't have McDonald's yet. So they were skinny little things. Now, we don't have any pictures of those girls. They didn't do selfies back then. But we have pictures of the last explorers, and they look like you guys. I'm assuming you would like to have a picture. These pictures are complimentary. There's no charge for them. They're just our gift to you for you guys coming out.
Thank you so much.
We give one per ticket packet. So everybody who had a ticket packet, I think I had 10 people in here.
どうも皆さん、お疲れ様です。おじさんです。出てきました満足してます。じゃあこれからお腹が空いたんで例のとこ行きますか。例のとこねと考えております。これで一つスプリングフィールドのことに詳しくなりました。はい、どうも皆さんお疲れ様です。おじさんです。帰る準備ができました。帰りましょう。いろいろ楽しみました。ケービングしました。ケービング。ミズーリの洞窟ね。さてと行きましょうか。実はこの間の話飛ぶんですけど、ちょっと待ってくださいね。出ます。まず出ます。ファンタスティックカバーに別れを告げて、どっちだ？左だよな。左。よし。
In 1.2 miles, turn right onto West Farm Road 94.
この間そのカシューチキン買った時にドライブスルーで買ったんですけど、カード返してもらうの忘れてた全然気づいてなくて、2日後ぐらい、昨日気づいて、あれみたいな、カードないぞみたいなってことに気づいて、ちょっとあたふたしてないみたいなで、いろいろ考えて、あとカードの使用履歴とか考えると、そのカシューチキンを買ったのがドライブスルーで、そのカードで最後だった気がして、多分そういうことじゃないかなと思ってたんですよ。で、気づいたのは昨日の深夜っていうか夜で、もうそのレストラン閉まってて確認できなかったんですよ。だから今日の朝っていうか昼前にかけて電話して聞いたら、あったよかったカードありました。だからそのドライブスルーでこうやり取りした時にカードを返してくれなかったんですよ。でそれに自体にも気づいてなかったみたいな、おじさんが。はい。ただちゃんと取っといてくれたんで、今からカシューチキン食べに行きましょうまたもや でもなんかエッグフライドライス食べたいんですよね。悩んでます。何を食べるか。あれこっちでいいのか。 OK。 ケイブンなんか面白かったですね。やっぱなんかすごいなんかこうできてて、なんていうんですかね、なんかこうケーブでなんか水もポタポタっと滴ってて、すごい湿気でした。もう老眼鏡が曇って何も見えなかったです何も見えなかったっていう。ピントが合ってたかどうか自信ないですね。ソニーを信用しましょう。ソニーのカメラがうまく動いてたことを願おうとしてます。ああ、お、ファームロード行きますか。ファームロード。12マイル。まあなんか本当いいですね。スプリングフィールドって何でも近いやっぱ街が小さいから何でもすぐそこにあるって感じ。しかも道も空いてるから生活しやすいですね、ここ本当。なんか前ウーバーの運転手さん2年前ぐらいとかウーバー使った時に話したことあるんですよ。ただ土地も安いし家も安いしいいよって言ってましたよね。意外と、まあアパート借りるにしても安いし買うにしても安いしみたいな。でそのセイントルイスみたく大都会じゃないんで悪い人も少ないしみたいな。正直ほんとそんな感じしますよね。お、なんだこれ、右側になんかシェリフ警察署か。シェリフっていう車が止まってたんで、なんか警察署のような、違うかわかんない。
Turn right onto North Farm Road 123, then turn left onto US 160 East.
あ、なになに、ここは右に曲がれないと。右に曲がれない構造になってんな。 U ターンだなっていうことはどっかで。
At the stop sign, turn left onto US 160. In 2.3 miles, use the roundabout to make U-turn.
多分事故が多いから U ターンできなくしたんでしょ。曲がれなくしたんでしょうね。こういう道ってやっぱり不注意な人が車来てるのに出ちゃう、曲がろうとしてで直進してきてる人ももう気使わないからこんな感じで、まあちょっと今反対向きで分かりづらいと思うんですけど、2車線道路で高速道路的なスピード出るんですよ。だけどちょっと待ってくださいね。 スピードリミットは高速道路的なスピード100、110とかもっとかな、ここは。だけど交差点あるんで、もう読み違っちゃう人がいる、要するに。行けると思って、出ちゃうみたいな。して直進してる人は気使ってない。だから、ブレーキ踏まないで行っちゃって、まさか出てこないだろうみたいな。それで衝突事故がもう、たくさん、こういう道って起こるんですよ、やっぱ。だから、もう、最近のアメリカの道の作り方の特徴は、もうそういう人はもうミスを犯すもんだから、曲がれないようにしちゃうみたいな。不便だけど。もう交差点は曲がれないようにしちゃって、事故をそれでなくすみたいな、そういう作り多いですよね。で、なんていうの、U ターンして戻ってくださいみたいな。そういう風にそういう作りの道多いですよね。ニュージャージー17なんかもそうですよね、あそこもね。まあもちろん事故っていうのはサイドスワイプとか起きるけど、直進してる人と曲がろうとして出た人がなんていうんですか、T ボーンっていうんですか、ガシャーンみたいな、フルスピードで。やっぱそれって危ないじゃないですか、かなり。怪我もする。だけど、横からガリガリだったら、そういう衝突だと、結構怪我が防げる。だから、道の作りを衝突しても、こうやってガシャーンじゃなくて、なんかガリガリみたいな風になるような作りにしてるとこが多いですよね。大丈夫かな。そういう作りにしてる道が多いです、最近は。やっぱ不注意な人が出ちゃうんですよね。車来てるのにありがちなパターン。車来てるのに出ちゃうみたいな。お、皆さん、なんかレッドネックトラクターサプライズってお店ありますよ。レッドネックトレーラーサプライ。